Hello. Good afternoon. Let's take a minute and see if somebody's going to pop in. I want somebody to talk to. It's 4 o'clock on a sunny day. Who is going to be here? Well, my goodness. All right. Well, I can't just sit here forever and wait for folks, can I? Came here to say something, so I might as well say it. What do you think? Hey, listen, let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. I want to know I want to know that you're here. I want to know what you're thinking. If you like what's being said, hit some of those emojis. Just have fun with it. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Running Away. What you don't know about how to escape pain and trauma once and for all could hurt you. Sounds interesting, huh? Faye Bryant here with a new Running Away Facebook Live for every woman who wants to escape pain and trauma once and for all and escape pain of any kind without having to hide in fear or shame. If you know someone who needs this message, be sure to tag them or share it with them and let me know what you think in the comments. Let's talk. First thing is to know that pain is real. It's not just in your head. It's not, and I'm talking about the pain from trauma, whether it's, hi, Penny, whether it's like a childhood trauma or something that just happened in the recent past. But I'm thinking more of I'm not thinking about pain like a toothache. Okay. Does that make sense? I'm talking about pain that just overwhelms the whole body and soul and spirit. First thing you need to understand is that it is real. What you are feeling and what you have felt is real. There is physical pain. Those who have experienced spousal abuse or even childhood abuse understand pain, physical pain, and its effects on us. There are times that the things that we experienced, even if it didn't have a physical component to it, it now has a physical component to it because it causes pain in our bodies. And it's pain that you can't just take a Tylenol for. Mental pain is real pain. When you can't put two coherent thoughts together because of the pain of what's happened or what is happening to you, it's very real. It's very real. Emotional pain, if you have lived through trauma, if you have lived through abuse, if you've lived through cancer, if you've lived through anything like that, there's an emotional pain that has you wrapped up. And literally, it makes decisions for you based on what you're feeling, what those emotions are. And then there is spiritual pain. There is a spiritual pain where what we understand of God is challenged, where we don't know what to do with it spiritually, where our desire to be His and to follow Him closely just kind of wanes. And that's not a good place to be either. The thing is, running away from these pains does not ease them. If we run to another location, the reminders of the pain might be unseen, but they still exist. In my novel, Elena, you'll get to see where she ran away from the urban place in that she was living, where she was abused, where she was betrayed, and where she even lost her children as a result of the betrayal. Being in that same city, seeing the park where she had played with her children, seeing things like that, it just kept that pain right in her face. And she ran away from that. She ran all the way to Florida, South Florida, from that. She had lost so much, and her heart was so broken, and she couldn't just continue where she was. But what she learned is that that pain did not go away because she changed locale. There's another way we can get rid of pain or think that we're running away from it. We can anesthetize. Yeah, we can anesthetize with drugs, alcohol, shopping, porn, gambling, food, any other addiction. The thing is, the pain is still waiting on us when we come down from our high. Every time. It doesn't matter if you have been falling down, pass out drunk, and so you are not feeling any pain. When you wake up, it's right there all over again. It didn't go away. It didn't go away. If we hide, if we get into our own little cocoon and we just don't have anything to do with people or go any places, that pain holds us captive. It keeps us captive. It keeps us held in places and in beliefs that are not ours. They're not meant to be ours. Number 3, dealing with the pain is what brings healing and freedom. In recovery programs, you are taught this phrase, feel, deal, heal. We have to feel our feelings. We have to deal with our feelings so that we can heal. We have to feel what was in our past so we can deal with what was in our past so we can heal from what was in our past. Let me give you an example. I'll use myself. When I went into 5th grade, we had just moved to a new town. And so I was starting a whole new school. And, I had gone down to the school and everything seemed great. The teacher was nice, looked like I was going to have a great year. And then that first day, I got on the school bus. It was fine. And then when we got to the next bus stop, this guy gets on. I think he was in 8th grade, maybe 7th. He was a couple or 3 years older than me. And the first thing he said when he saw me was, "Oh my God, how ugly you are." Wow, okay. And he continued on with things like, if you were my dog, if my dog was as ugly as you, I'd shave his butt and make him walk backwards. But he didn't say it quite that nicely. Things like, I bet your mama has to tie a pork chop around your neck to get the dogs to play with you. He gave me a nickname. I don't know exactly what it meant, but it probably wasn't supposed to be complimentary. He called me Skagface. All of those feelings. I couldn't tell my parents. There were other issues. We'll talk about that another time. I couldn't tell my parents. I was certain they would not believe me. And if they did believe me, they wouldn't do anything about it. But I was broken. I was hurt. Oh my goodness. The feelings were there, but I could not identify them. I was 10. I did not know what to do with them. I didn't know how to handle them at all. And so I just pushed them down and went on with life. The trouble was that emotional pain, the mental pain, was still very much alive in me, to the point of I believed everything he said about me. I believed that I was ugly. I believed that I had no worth in this world. I believed it. And I believed it to the point, folks, let me tell you, I was in my 40s before I realized I have blue eyes. Okay? Yeah, they're blue. They sometimes go a little hazelish, but for the most part, they're blue. I didn't know that until somebody said to me, I love your blue eyes. And I was like, my eyes aren't blue, my eyes are hazel. And they said, no, they're not, they're blue. I had to go check. I was in my 40s. What's with that? That's the thoughts and the words of somebody else. That's pain that kept telling me, you are too ugly to even look at in the mirror. Yeah. So see, what I needed to do then was to feel the feelings that I had felt back then. Well, how do you do that? You have to revisit the period. You just can't get away from it. You have to go back to that point. You have to hear the words, but you do it from a place of knowing that you are safe. The guy is not here. He cannot hurt you. He's not speaking into your life anymore in this situation. All right, this is what I was understanding. He was not in my life anymore. He couldn't do anything. So I was in a safe space. And so I thought, okay, what was I feeling? Well, I felt hurt. I felt shocked. I mean, what did I do to deserve that? And I felt angry. I felt a brokenness. I felt like I wasn't worth knowing. And all these feelings, I had to feel them. I had to let them happen again so that I could deal with them. Remember, feel, deal, heal. So I started dealing with them. I had to remind myself that I'm created in the image of God. That 10-year-old me did not understand that. I had to understand that God created me just the way he wanted me. I had to remind myself that not everybody would think I was pretty or worth looking at, and that was okay. I had to deal with each of those feelings that I felt. The anger, I could have really gotten hung up on that one because I really wanted to go back and tell him, you don't know what you did, and what you did was wrong, and you had no right to do it. I really wanted to get in his face. But before I had the chance to do that, he passed away. And so instead, I wrote a letter to him. And I said all those things. And then that was one of the letters that I burned up and watched the ash fly away and let the forgiveness be real, be done. I dealt with the feelings by forgiving him for causing them. Because I felt all those things. Hi, Faye Bryant. And yes, Penny, that is a great way to say it. Adult Faye gets to ride the bus with 5th grade Faye. Absolutely. And that was freedom. Hi, Kathy. That was freedom. And that was peace. Because I had not known, I didn't realize I didn't have peace. I didn't realize I wasn't free. But that's where I was. And when that weight was lifted, when I had dealt with all those feelings, there was a freedom that I hadn't even known I didn't have. Now, see, in recovery, the 4th step talks about taking a fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And that's looking at, for an addict or an alcoholic, somebody dealing with an addiction, that is looking at the things that you have done, the flaws that you have allowed to happen in your life. For somebody like me who is dealing with trauma, that means looking at what actually happened. What is it doing to you now? What effect does it has it had throughout the rest of your life? And in that step 4, we use Lamentations chapter 3, verse 40 that says, "Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord." See, so many times when we suffer a trauma, when we suffer some sort of pain, our first inclination is to just shut down even on God. We want to let him take the brunt of all our anger and all our dismay and all our despair. And we want to lay that at his door. And we will turn from him instead of turning to him. So in this dealing with what happened, with those feelings that you felt, it's very good, almost crucial, I would say, to examine your ways, to examine where you're at, what's going on in you, what are you doing with those feelings, and make sure that they line up with Scripture. And that way, then it's bringing you closer to the Lord instead of sending you further away. And let me tell you, you're probably sitting there saying, I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't do this godly way. There is no way I can forgive that person. There's no way I can just deal with these feelings. There's no way. It's not going to happen. Let me tell you, there is a way. And that way is God. In Philippians 2:13, he says, "It is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose." See, God's not asking you to do it on your own. He's saying, grab hold of me, and not only will I help you walk through it, I'll give you the will to walk through it. He provides everything. Everything. So here's the things to remember. Running away from pain does not ease it. Doesn't matter how far you go, how much anesthetizing you try, doesn't matter. It does not ease the pain. Anesthetizing it does not make it go away. It's still right there when you're sober, when you're lucid, whatever you have chosen. Mine was always food. Yeah, if you're sad, dismayed, angry, whatever, you need a candy bar at least, maybe a bag of chips, possibly a supper that's really high in calories, followed by a dessert that is just completely decadent. Yeah, that'll make me feel better. That won't do it at all. And it never did. Caused health issues that were not intended and just caused other things. So, whatever choice you make to anesthetize yourself, you're not helping the pain go away. You're just turning the light out on it for a moment. Hiding from your pain only makes you a captive to it. When you let pain, when you let the trauma of your past control you, you are a slave to it. It's time to break those chains, folks. We simply have to feel the pain, deal with the pain, so we can heal from the pain. The thing is, you really can escape that pain and your trauma once and for all without having to hide in fear and shame. You don't have to stay in it. Now, if you're one of those women, guys too, if you're listening, who's really ready to make this work for you, I would suggest that you hop over to faybryant.com/author and grab a copy of Elena to see how she handled it. Yes, Linda, you are right. Hiding your pain keeps you captive to it. You keep it there in your heart. You don't talk about it. You don't feel it, deal it, and heal with it. And you're stuck. And I stayed stuck until about 5 years ago. It's horrible. In the book Elena, you will see how, and I already said about how she ran away from where the betrayal and such happened to her, and how she ran almost 2,000 miles away. And she found out that that didn't help. And she found out that other things that she tried didn't help. But then she found out, she learned how to do things a better way, so that before long, she was able to start living and enjoying life and not being held captive by the things that had happened in her past. So she figured out how to experience freedom and peace through her healing, and you can too. I invite you to read Elena, and you can download a copy of that, really quick at faybryant.com/author. There's also links there too if you want to order a paperback or hardback copy of it. If you know someone who needs this message, this video is going to be up for ages. Be sure and tag them in the comments. Share it to your timeline, whatever. This is a message that we all need to know, is that we can't run in order to be healed. We have to do something about what's causing our pain. Until next time, I am Faye Bryant. I adore you. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see what we'll talk about next week. Thanks for showing up. Bye.